thinking, how about, as much as I think Hello were talking about, from a student perspective, how about, are we thinking about faculty somehow in this process who may be wanting to pivot into it? How would we be trying to capture them now, or is this going to be, if you wish, part of agenda 2?
Actually, this is just for anybody who is interested in starting to the journeys towards the gaming. So even academician or educators, that's why we are saying that eventually the curriculum we design with the input from all the members, when we agree on which format best suits somebody who will become productive in the industry immediately or something like that. Even university professors or lecturers can
get into the university, bureaucracy will not be able, to get this forward. That's just an additional comment or observation from what has been said.
Yes, and Prof. Paura knows very well what it took. It is taking the issue of certification and how it takes. So that one, let us not pursue the certification. Let us start looking at the benefits that we can gain from immediately. Yes, so that's the idea.
Yeah. A quick question for clarification: who is going to deliver the training? So, what are your thoughts around that?
Okay, so the first thing is, when now, for example, we approach the Microsoft with a proposal that we have this curriculum, and because we are a good number of faculty are from the universities, and we would want you to have, for example, what we had as a faculty scaling on gaming or something like that. It's possible now using this that we can say we have built some content within it, and as a collaborative effort, then we can even having a bootcamp for the maybe faculty, or having a project-based kind of a training with the guys from the ecosystem that can be gathered. It's an approach that we can approach Microsoft now to train the faculties after we have already designed the curriculum collaboratively.
Okay, so then actually you've pointed out something else. There is also the content. So the curriculum, okay, fine, let's get it out. It's still going to be the content development and the training.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So anyway, I think it will be good for us to later on discuss that. But I think we will be at a loss, not taking advantage of our meeting with the team that came from Hello, regardless of what our opinions might be. I think we might actually lose out on something.
Let me ask you. I want to understand your statement. You have said, you see, on the issue of here, for example, where I put introduction to game development, right? We will go and put the content. We will suggest the content that could be there. Of course, then
outline. Yes, it will be more of an outline. Yes.
Yes, this is just, we'll put an outline, and then we'll share this content with the team members, Microsoft and Xbox, to give us what they think about it, and then their input. And then it is that input, we will take it in board. SAISO will have agreed as which approach we are going to use. We'll have looked at, maybe even we may present the two approaches for them to tell us what they think about that. So the benefits will be that when we are coming out, Microsoft, to tell them that we already have a kind of a curriculum that we can be able to start talking about, that addresses some of the things that we think as faculty would be important to look at. Then we have that input. Then we can have that training that can come now, that we can push as an agenda, that please, can we organize a training session for faculty members based on, as we try this curriculum.
Okay, Sawa. I think then that's agreeable. So what I also hear from you, Prof, is that the curriculum will involve designing of the modules. So this is just the introduction. So after this, there'll be module 1, introduction to game development. Then somebody needs to go sit down and come up with the details of what will be inside introduction to game development, like that.
Correct. And that's where now I will take and say, Kelvin will say, maybe I like 3D development, asset development, because you will have agreed that this is okay, this is what. Then we'll assign them the job. Go and try to create the outline for that. I will go maybe introduction to game development. This is what I'm saying. Then we will have, because we are sharing a document together, then at the end, we'll look at how we can harmonize. We'll have to harmonize that content so that there is flow. And then after that, now, when we have that, we'll now approach the bigger external membership so that they can also empower the document.
Okay, I hear you. And I think also something else we're agreeing right from the beginning, what I heard from you is that this is open source. So yes. that if Martin goes and does game design principles and user experience, he's not going to come later on and say, hiya, I did all this work for this number of hours or days, and I can see the training is going on. Why am I not getting something? You get?
No, this is open source. Actually, that is a very good question you have asked. Even your contribution to this document, it's the only thing that will happen is that we will recognize, we will have an acknowledgement of Martin's contribution, Professor Paura contribution on this. We'll have that. But this is open source curriculum that will be accessible. When Martin decides to take this and make money out of it, I mean, it's possible for somebody to take it and create money out of it. We will not have cases trying to. We will have it being released under Creative Commons.
Okay, so let us clearly put the Creative Commons at the beginning as a disclaimer. Yeah. And I think under Creative Commons, there's different licenses that are allowed. So we can specify which Creative Commons license is there. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very important even at the introduction to have that captured, that we've collaboratively agreed to contribute to this and enrich a curriculum. And I think the 6-month thing needs to be removed. So we will only know how long this will actually removing the bootcamp. I think I feel like it's like the Kenya Inter-Varsity game curriculum more than a bootcamp, right? I now understand what you meant, because
I hope these are just ideas, because I don't agree with everything that's being said, by the way. So let's also keep
I think it's good because it needs to be aired out here so that we are clear on what we've agreed. I think what I'm pushing for is the agreement. Yeah, sawa. I think it's good to recognize it's a Kenya inter-university collaboration. I think it's important to mention. Maybe remove the bootcamp.
Yeah, the bootcamp.
And then we need to put a disclaimer as to regards to the ownership or the attribution of the work. Yes. Okay, Martin. I think Martin has a response on that as to whether he agrees.
Yeah, so I'm troubled with it, partly because of the linearity of it. Number one, you're talking as though we're doing a certificate or let's say, it could be a diploma or even a degree. I have trouble with that. And I'm speaking on behalf of industry, not just myself. I'm speaking now on behalf of industry. I don't think any of us here is an industry practitioner, but I'm an industry practitioner. And the industry, you can't take someone, I'm just giving you a hard fact about the industry. You can't take someone from the industry and tell them, come and teach this course, even if it's for, let's say 3 weeks, and devote your time to it. It'll be very expensive, but they're also very busy. That's just how it is, you see. So it's not the same as a lecturer who you can ask to come and teach something. They have prior knowledge of lecturing, and then they can come and do it. So if you want to run a boot camp, you see, an industry practitioner likes boot camps partly because it's like very time constrained. It's even a weekend. That's it, and you're done and you move.
No, Martin. What I want to get from you, your concern are addressing which specific issue?
Yeah. Now addressing this one. Yeah, I have a big concern on it. I think we should look at the option, because the option that we can propose will not be as rigid as this. It will allow for micro-credentialing, which means instead of what you were saying, Lawrence, where you're saying, for example, someone is good at 3D, so come and teach 3D. That's a very silo mentality that we're moving. The industry doesn't work in silos. A skill that's needed in game design, and if you go to an interview, even if you go to a Halo interview, the first question you'll be asked is, can you work in a team? It's the first question. So you see, the industry is emphasizing a different skill.
And Martin, without even repeating the issue of the industry needs, that's why we agreed that this approach that I'm trying to address is based on what I was thinking here. But we have agreed in principle fully that we are going to have an approach that is industry friendly.
Okay, so
and
now if that's the
therefore,
approach, let me suggest, boss, that you see, rather than having these units in silos, we could arrange the units in skills. For example, team building as a skill. For example, I could give another one. Let's say you want to do something like, let's say storyboarding as a skill, or you want to, let's say, build now, instead of categorizing 3D, 2D like this, maybe you want to make a serious game, or you want to make a mobile game. So we have skill sets, we identify a cocktail of skill sets that are of interest to the industry, and then we provide them as the curriculum. Now, a skill set can be acquired in 3 weeks. That's how we do it. So that rather than having subject-based, this is subject-based.
Okay, let me share something on my screen.
We have it activity-based, which now allows for the industry to plug in. And you see, the advantage again of activity-based learning is that the industry can invite you into their own studios to work, because we are learning as we produce some activity or we produce something. You see, it's not academic in the sense of subjects. This one is topic-based. And I don't think that's why I'm having trouble with it. And I think many industries.
And it's not a problem. It's not a problem. We will be able to have your input, and we look at that very well. We are very open to that. Yeah.
All right.
So here's an example of a Coursera specialization consisting of five courses.
Yeah.
So a specialization being that you're working towards it within, let's say, 3 to 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have specific, you earn a certificate. Then they say it's a 5-course series.
Yeah.
And it's meant to take you from beginner. So actually they talk about it at the top here somewhere. So you're meant to move from a beginner to somebody who can at least do some of this. So they'll first of all say game design and development. One is a 2D shooter, 2D platformer. Again, go 3D shooter, 3D platformer. And then for them, the key thing is the capstone project, right? And you need to enroll, but you can get the course details there. They don't even get into a lot of the details, I think, until you enroll. So you can see this first one is 14 hours, self-paced. The other one is 12, 13. And depending on how quickly you do it and how you complete your capstone, you're able to do it between 3. There's an opening page at the top there, between 3 to 6 months. And you get, in addition to that, a certification. So we still will need to agree on its modularization, which is, I think, the courses, because even then, when you search, I had another window here, which I pulled up the.
If I can comment before you switch from this one, yes. You see the difference between what you're showing us here on Coursera, Paula, and what you've shown us on the platform, the one we have in our Google Drive, is that exactly what you've shown is multidisciplinary. If you make a 2D shooter game, what goes into that is multidisciplinary. There's going to be game art, there's going to be game design, there's going to be game development, there's going to be a cocktail of things. You're going to be working on audio, video, interaction. You're going to be doing user interface design on the 2-shooter game alone. So it's cross-disciplinary. You're also going to be solving problems in a two-disciplinary, in a cross-disciplinary way. But what I don't want us to lose is that flavor. That's what I'm trying to say. This multidisciplinary thing is important. And then the other thing, capstone project. Okay, fine, you can have that. But project is something. It's a delivery method. Even when you're doing unit 1, it's not academic. You're not in a lecture. It's a project. Everything here is project-based. So you find that you have 5 units, and you've shown us skills, knowledge that Coursera are using. Each one of them has a project assignment in them. So, and then at the end, you simply hand in what you've done. You see, that is the approach that I'm saying that the industry can work with. Because there are some people who specialize in 2D games or 2D, others specialize in different types of games. What we need to understand, our unique value proposition going back, you see these guys, everything there is a shooter game. Now, in Kenya, that's a cultural issue in these countries. In South Africa, in America, shooting is an issue. It's even in the elections. So those are their issues. There's a lot of cultural storytelling going on there. Do we want to register our young students coming up into a Coursera 2D shooter game? Why not take them about experience Nairobi, and you experience driving around Nairobi in a matatu? Things that are now different but unique to our context that the world has never seen. That way we can access the world, because they'll say, well, these games are unique. You see what I'm saying? That's missing on all these websites. Even if you go to Plural site, I
And
can show you.
that's why we are saying
Yeah,
that let us look at it. There is the foundational knowledge. There is the foundational knowledge that is needed, and
yeah,
then there is the application on that. And I'm saying I think Prof. Paura, what you can see from here is that it looks like the modular approach is what they have approached, and yeah, at the end of the course they'll be completed, that kind of thing. There is also a project like that approach, so we can also gain ideas on what they have done and see what is there for us to be able to improve in our curriculum, or borrow from it. So what I'm thinking is that we have taken more time than I thought, but it was good that we have discussed ideas around thinking of the curriculum. So the first argument that we need is this. The first thing that has been agreed is this, that in this document, the approach needs to, first of all, we need to look at the approach itself, and that we seem to have agreed that the approach is not necessarily going to be only one academic on the table. We should have other approaches, including the one that has been designed as industry friendly and what is skill based kind of approach. And we have suggested that we have ideas, not just Martin, anybody who has ideas that you would want to, anything else also, put it there. We will be able to look at them and look at them from the merits and pick which one gives us the best result. So from there, we will then, once we agree on those kind of topics that needs to be there, then we'll go to the content itself. Once we are done with the content, remember also there are questions about the target audience, all these things. We look at that. We have already a template on that, the rationale of the program and this kind of thing. Then, after we have done that, we will be able to have, that means on Monday, you are asked, we should have this by Monday coming next week. We should have that part. We will continue engaging even online, no problem. And then, once on Monday we settle that this is the way we want the whole ideas to look like, then we can start saying, let us go now to the content building. Under the content building, we'll assign ourselves responsibilities in creating content. And then from creating content, we will have a meeting. That means next week. Next week is on 11th. And then on 18th, we'll have a meeting now to try and say, content, this is what has been added. And then we can start seeing how do we bring on board the other members so that we can share with them the ideas of what we have. Please don't feel restricted with what we have built. I have just started. It's good that we are starting conversation with this one. That's what I wanted. I wanted us to start conversation, but it is not the ideal one. I want us to build and add value to it, the best of the best. I think that's what I want to say. So I will give concluding remarks, any that you have. 1 minute, please. If you have something to say, Paula, you can say something. Concluding remarks.
yeah. I have a concluding remark.
Yes, go ahead. 1 minute each.
Okay. Yeah, mine is just to say that, one of the things that we need to remember is that when we design these things, we should be problem solving oriented. What tends to happen when Microsoft is in the room is people default to Microsoft's globalized way of doing things. Microsoft, I'm telling you, are looking for business for their business and they want to expand into Africa. But Africans are looking for jobs. We know that. Africans are looking for livelihood sustenance, and we also need to improve on our capability to manage our families. That's what Africans are interested in. Microsoft may not be aligned to that. So what I'm saying is that if we think in a way that is good for us, then we should have something that is, number one, let's say flexible, because we need that. Number two, it attracts people who see the value. They come not because of any other reason than they see the value of the course, and that's why they're coming. Number three, sustainable. That sustainability is very important. And number four is scalability. We should have that built into what we're doing. I like the idea of having an open source approach, but I'm suggesting that we can twin it. We can have open source on one hand, and we can also have what we're saying is proprietary. So you have open source proprietary. So we have what we are saying we're selling and people can pay and buy into, and we also have what is open source. So we're also contributing. It doesn't have to be one or the other in a zero-sum game. It can be a balance of both. That's a suggestion, but if we think this way, I think we can have something good on our hands. That's my
And
contribution.
I agree. We can be able to start with these as create an open source, but then have a way in which people can customize. Thank you. Any other comment, guys? Anybody else with a comment? It looks like even Paula has left, but it is okay. Thank you so much, members. Let us work to enrich that document. There is an opportunity for us to do better on it and improve the value of that. Bring your ideas. It's not a closed document. We just want to see what we can do in terms of improving it. Remember, the focus is that if today you look at the number of youths who are around here and they are suffering, the number is big. If we can build a curriculum and then see how they can benefit from it, it would be good. Professor Paula, we are getting the comment, the final closing comment. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I just got logged out. I got my machine had a problem. So I think for me, first of all, let me applaud you, Prof. Lawrence, for coordinating us. And I know it takes a lot of time to put this thing together. It even just me putting a few paragraphs here and there already took a lot, and I can imagine, just putting the structure. So thank you for that. I think for me, just as a critical path for success will be to have some key agreements right from the beginning, which are very foundational, right? I think for me, a few things that have come up is number one, what is our outcome? What will we say is success? Like, if we met like this and did all the work that we would do, what would success look like? So I think it's good for us to articulate that. I think it's also very important for the disclaimers to be issued and that people are comfortable with them, so that any pouring in of ideas and things like that will be clearly understood where it's coming from, and all our input will be recognized in a particular way. I think for me, another two very big pieces that need to be agreed on is on the content and on actual training. I think if we say we are agnostic to an actual training, so this is probably just an exercise, first of all, in us articulating how the curriculum will look like, then the training will follow later. I think it also needs to be very clear and as to who will develop the actual training content. I think it's also very important for us to be clear on. I think the last thing I'll say is it will be good for us also to agree on a timeline, which then puts into perspective those elements. And who is carrying what, I think would be good to articulate. I think I heard you, Prof, giving some ideas on that. I think it will be good for us to capture that and share so that then people can also give input on their agreed timelines. Yeah, so I think that's my view.
Yeah, just to reiterate, we have said that we will now give another 1 week for members to think about the mode, the mode, and add content. Please add the content on the Google Drive. We will build the two of them, and if there is a third one, and then we'll have a document that talks about the link to those documents so that users can be able to access them. So on 11th, we'll have a meeting now to agree on which structure to approach. Please make sure that the best way is to have something written. Let us have something written there that completes those sections so that it will be easier for members to visualize what the conversation is all about. At this point, there is no better model. The model is the one that members will find very important in that. And we can be able to even start by asking them on WhatsApp group. They look at the two documents and they give us feedback. And then during this meeting, we can look at the pros and cons of each approach and then decide. Once we decide on 11, that week now we will take time to build the content, because we will be able to decide how is the content going to be built. Is it going to be a group building for the whole module? Is it a group A doing A, B, C, D, or is it an individual developing for each content? And then on 18, we'll have a harmonization meeting. Then from 18 now, we will start now reaching out to the Microsoft guys to be able to also get their feedback and other external entities that would be interested in seeing that, so that we can have their input on what they think about it. So that is the idea of this. So thank you so much. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank you for the contributions. Thank you and have a good one. We will still use the same link that we have during the next meeting. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Asante.
Thanks.
Bye.